Today we have with us skincare guru and dermatologist to all, Shaista Kazi. She's going to bust some myths and give us some gyan on some good skincare. Hi Shaista, welcome to Refractions Pod.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yes, I'm excited to pick your brain on some skincare stuff.
Let's get to it. Yeah.
Okay, let's start with your medical dermatology journey to aesthetic medicine and how it's evolved over the years.
Sure, I would love to talk about that because it's been my calling. So right from the time I was a child, I knew I wanted to become a doctor. I wasn't sure which one, but as I went into medical college and started learning about all different specialities that we have, I realized that dermatology is something I'm very interested in because skin is the largest organ of the body and it is also a mirror of whatever is happening inside our body. So if you have a respiratory infection or you have some problem in your gut, all that will first start showing on your skin. Unfortunately, over the years, we've started taking skin for granted, and those who don't are considered vain. So there is no balance to how you're supposed to look after your skin in the best way. So we started off as I've done my MD in dermatology. Then I went to Thailand, I went to Miami. I super specialized further in aesthetic medicine because that's the calling of the day. Today, not only women, but even men, even older women, younger girls, boys, everybody is so interested in looking after their skin. And I think that's a great welcome change. We don't have to overdo it, but there's no harm in looking after yourself, keeping your skin healthy. It is also a big part in making the first impression.
And obviously, facials have come a long way, right?
True.
And now we can literally get a facial at the dermatologist clinic, which is such a different, maybe more secure thing than just going to some clinic that's doing all these treatments.
Correct. So no offense to the salons. I mean, they've been doing it for years. Some of them do fabulous facials. But in our times, like I got married at 25. So I had never got a facial before my marriage. And when I did go in for a facial just before my marriage, that time I was still doing my MD. So in my final year. So I got a little reaction to the steam. And then I was like, I shouldn't have touched my face. It was good. I just left it. From there to now, where we doctors, we don't do the facials ourselves, we dermatologists don't do the facials ourselves, but we monitor every step. So it won't be the same. It won't be like this is our gold, our diamond package and you just come in and you do it. We would analyze your skin. We would see what suits you because one man's food can be another's poison. So I mean, if you have an oily skin and, we choose a facial which is going to overhydrate and over moisturize your skin in a way that when you go back you start breaking out, then that defies the whole purpose of the facial. Or if you have dry skin and you need intense hydration, so we can curate the facials to suit you. There are a few things we've even replaced, like earlier they used to use steam a lot. Now we don't use so much of steam, we've replaced it with cryo. So that is intense cooling, which will open up your pores in a similar way as steam, but it works much better and it doesn't leave your pores like that when you step out, where again dust can settle, etc. And you again break out blackheads, whiteheads. So yes, facials have come and we've got so many different type of medifacials, photofacials, hydrofacial, which is a big rage. It's been going on since quite some time. So we keep tuning ourselves. Even as dermats, we keep upgrading ourselves. So that, what is new in Korea, what is new in Japan, we try to bring it here so that our patients can get the best of the whole world, whatever treatments are available.
Right. See, I was, when you research and the most Googled thing is 3 things: pigmentation, acne, and dry skin.
Absolutely.
These are like the top 3 hits, I think, are the problems.
Especially for Indian skin. So, when we go across the world, different skins age in different ways. So, if you take a Caucasian face at the similar age to us, you'll see a lot more wrinkles. Their skin ages that way. The sun damages them. They start getting fine lines quicker. So, maybe a Caucasian person would look older than an Indian at the same age because of this. We have our own set of problems. Pigmentation, as you said, is a huge issue with us. And we want to be fairer, even though it's not needed, but we don't want to put sunscreen to prevent the pigmentation, which is the actual issue. So I feel we should embrace our color because we are so lucky to have this rich olive and honey hues all over the West. They're dying to look like us. Our girls, you see, they win all the pageants, everything. So we're not proud of that, unfortunately. And the thing we need to look after is not get pigmented, which our skin gets pigmented very easily. So you see women in their pregnancy or post-menopausal, all of a sudden they start getting a malar rash.
Yeah.
This area starts getting red. Yes, it is melasma. So we call it cloasma. If it happens during pregnancy, it goes into melasma, and it starts reddish, then it gets light brown, and then it starts moving into the dermis. So it keeps getting darker. So usually they come to us for treatment when it's already gone from the epidermis to the dermis. It gets more difficult to treat.
And what would you say, like acne treatments, what are the right?
So acne again is huge in our country, even for the girls, even for the boys. Sometimes they ignore it when the boys have it, but it should be treated because it's the #1 cause for depression and even suicide in adolescent males. Because the males get like a grade 3, grade 4 acne where they get big nodulopustular, big pimples, and they're very conscious. And if they put anything or look after themselves, then they are again branded, so they just try to ignore it. But it's very difficult to go out like that. Like you would agree, even if by the grace of God we're blessed with good skin, but even one premenstrual pimple irritates you so much, and it's so difficult to not pick at it. And once you pick at it, you're going to leave a mark. So same thing for our girls also. Adult acne has become huge now. So earlier it used to be like, you have to till 23, 24, you'll fight it and you'll be good. Now post 30, post 35, women have started breaking out.
Also, do you think, because they do, prescribe birth control for skin, like when your skin is breaking out, they put you on birth control. How is that affecting this adult acne?
No, I don't think so, because, acne is again multifactorial. So just giving a birth control pill to a girl who comes in is not the correct way. We do investigations. If we realize that, there is some issue in the hormones, either in the sex hormones or in the insulin levels or the prolactin levels, then we need to medicate the patient accordingly, because then even if Accutane, isotretinoin is not going to help that patient. Maybe initially it will stop, but once the hormones get imbalanced, it's going to come back. So what I always suggest to my patients is go to a dermatologist you trust, and then trust them blindly. Because if we try to do a bit of Google and a bit of dermat and everything together, and then we don't end up getting the desired result. So most of us wouldn't start a patient on an OC pill unless we feel it's needed. Maybe why, older women, we are breaking out now at a stage where you feel we are done with that is because, again, the hormones are moving up and down. Lifestyle has become much more stressful. We are all working in and out of homes. The weather is so bad and our diet is not that great. So there are too many things which are contributing again to the adult acne coming so much to the forefront. And also, I think ignoring treating it rather than, going in and treating it aggressively right from the beginning, so that we nip it in the bud.
Where pigmentation is concerned, do you suggest all these new things that are coming out, all of the glutathione and the marine collagen powders? What do you think?
So I think glutathione is fabulous because it is basically an antioxidant, so it's doing no harm. That's the oath we took, do no harm first. So I completely feel like something which is not going to harm you at all and only going to benefit you is a good idea, because glutathione is an antioxidant. It's good for the liver, it's good for kidneys, it's good for all the organs. That's how in fact it was discovered. So when it was given to a patient for his liver, they realized his skin is getting brighter. So then they put 2 and 2 together and realized that, oh, we could use it for this. Of course, I do not recommend patients just taking it to get fairer, because I'm against that concept of selling a skin color which is not ours. I feel that true beauty is looking more and more like yourself, but a better version. So not for that, but if you're getting patchy skin, if you feel your skin is shadowy, if you feel you don't look like you used to because there's a permanent tan and you don't like that, then glutathione can really help you. It's maybe 10 sessions you need to take, but it's very healthy compared to using a Fair and Lovely or using a steroid cream or something without prescription and just thinning out your skin.
And you're suggesting that those pill form, or is it like...
So it depends. So we analyze the patient. Supposing we feel like there's a little melasma which will work well with just pills. The pills are good. We give it with vitamin C.
Right.
But if we feel like there's a drastic improvement needed, it's been years of damage. If you're cooking, sometimes we don't realize that cooking also causes pigmentation. So you don't put a sunscreen before you go to cook. So there are so many women who are now like just becoming senior citizens, but they've
Yeah.
got so much of life left in them. They want to look their best,
Yeah.
do their best, and suddenly they're getting pigmented because they've cooked for years without sunscreen. So for these people, maybe a glutathione drip
Even
would
that
work.
heat from
Yes,
the hob is not good for
absolutely.
you?
Not at all. Not even the LED lights in the house. So you need to apply the sunscreen even at home and even before cooking. So I've got so many of my patients now whom I tell them that use a sunscreen maybe half an hour before cooking, and they've started seeing the difference.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
So that is something people are not aware, you know, and then they're like, but it's sticky and it's hot in the kitchen and you're asking us to, you know, put a sunscreen. But if you put a good sunscreen, which is not going to leave a cast, which is not going to make you itchy and sticky, you'll be fine. And put it half an hour before.
Right.
It works for 2 hours.
And what about then the lights and stuff? There's also now not only peels and acids, now there is also
Lot of lasers, lights.
Yeah.
So see, lasers are the best. They are so safe that, you know, my guru, my teacher, whom I learned everything from in Thailand, he's been named now the father of dermatosurgery in Thailand. He told us, you know, that lasers is the best, like no pain, no gain. So he's like, rather than doing anything, he's like, it's safe even in pregnancy. So in India, most of the people do not, even we in our practice don't do lasers for pregnant women, but it's actually safe even in pregnancy. So you can imagine how safe it is. It's a very good option because it's not adding an artificial substance to your body at all. It's healing your body. It's causing repair, regeneration. So depending on what you need the laser for, like if you need a Q switch for pigmentation, it works beautifully. The fractional CO2 or the, you know, microneedling radio frequency we do for the pits. Because there are so many people, you know, who did not treat the acne properly or broke it, and now they're left with all ice pick scars.
Right.
Even adults, and they're very conscious because of that, because how much ever you lather your makeup, the scars will still show. So we have amazing treatments for that. As far as LED lights go, it's a little bit of, it is slightly useful, but also a lot of marketing. Like face tools, for example, you know, they work beautifully and very relaxing, like a spa and all that. But recently we've had claims all over television where they say it's like a substitute to plastic surgery and Botox fillers, which is not true. It's not going to do something like that. It's going to increase your you know, you're going to be more compliant in putting the products because you're going to enjoy the, it's going to become like a little ritual. And also it's going to give you a slight lift, but you can't expect it to come anywhere close to anything that we are going to put into your skin.
Now that we're talking about Botox and filler, you can tell me a little bit about that. What is the difference between threads, Botox, filler, and if there's anything new in this?
Sure.
There's like some mini, what was that, mini lift or something?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little about it all. So, you know, there are a lot of misconceptions. Whenever face doesn't look good, they say Botox kiya hai, which is not true. Botox is just done in the upper part of the face. So it's for the frown lines, for the facial frontal lines. So people who are very expressive, the muscle works very hard. So these lines slowly from dynamic, which is like they go and come, they become static. So then you always look cross. So some people don't like that. You know, they're like, I always look upset, but I'm not upset. So just a little Botox here, it just irons it out. It relaxes your muscle, it doesn't paralyze it, and it gives you a fresher look. So abroad, everybody does it, right from their 20s up to the time they're alive. But in India, we are very scared of that word, so much so that even my own husband is like, you know, just because it's available, you don't touch your face, you're looking amazing. So he's so worried about it. But I have seen so many patients and I've seen that Botox is actually the safest. Of course, you can't go crazy, but just a little, you know, if you don't want spots, also you don't even need that. For the little wrinkles around the eye, some people love the wrinkles. They're like, my crow's feet is my personality. But for some people, they feel their eyes look tired. So it's all what you want to look like when you look at yourself in the mirror. Coming to fillers, fillers is for this part of the face. So as far as fillers are concerned, nasolabials is a big problem in Indian skin because especially in faces like ours, which are slimmer faces, we start losing fat pads here and these remain. So because this goes and this remains, the face starts sagging in the middle, and then maybe 5-10 years from now, if we both don't do anything, we start having a little jowling here, which is very annoying. So this part can be corrected beautifully by fillers, putting it right here. So it just lifts it up this much, not looking like you have 2 apples on your face, because you need to know when to stop. It's basically like, you know, like going to a casino. You need to know when to leave. So if you don't know when to leave, you're going to end up looking like a duck or a clown. But if you do, you're just going to look like you looked 5 years ago. That's all. And even lips is something I personally, it's not my idea, but people who do it, they can't live without it.
But one thing is sure, that if I go into a clinic and I want to get something done, and the doctor herself or himself has got stuff on their face, I would run in the other direction.
I always tell my patients that, you choose your dermat in a way that you look at their face. If that idea of beauty or whatever suits you, then you continue. If not, then change your dermat. Because if I feel something looks good, I'm going to do it for you with the best intention. Yeah. So when I can't do it to myself, I can't do it to you. But if my lips are like that, then I don't think I'm doing anything wrong in giving you that beautiful look.
Yeah.
But so it's very important when you choose your dermat that you all align well. It's like choosing a life partner, you need to be on the same page.
Yeah, you never anyway recommend any harsh stuff to anybody.
No, so even very good right now, because I want to bust the myth, I'm talking so much about Botox or filler, but generally in my first 5 or 10 appointments, I would never suggest it, because there is so much we can do. Like as I said, there's a new thing called Volite or Profhilo. So this is basically just hyaluronic acid. It's not a filler. Right. The same hyaluronic that we apply on top as a serum, we inject it into the face. So a lot of brides do it also. Very safe, no fillers, no fluffing up, no looking hefty, but it stretches your skin out and makes it dewy soft. So that returns that baby skin feel. So this is something which is extremely safe and something which I would recommend to patients. The other thing is threads. So threads is my passion. I have trained especially in it. I started it 12 years ago in Mumbai when hardly anybody was doing it at that time. So threads, monofilament threads are so safe. I mean, my patients will vouch for it, the ones who've done it also. It's, because when you put filler, now supposing if one of us goes in for a filler, we might start looking a little bulkier on our face, which we won't like. Because we're used to seeing our face in a particular way when we look in the mirror. So threads are not going to change your face structure. You're not going to look like somebody else. It's just going to tighten without adding any volume. You just put the needle, you take it out, the thread remains inside. And the thread is the same material that is used to tie, take sutures in the uterus after childbirth. So it's biodegradable, completely safe. In a span of 2 months, it goes off.
Say you want to lift here, so you just injecting like this?
And just remove the needle. You don't pull the thread, nothing. And you don't touch the thread. So there's no chance of infection or contamination.
So how is it?
So it sits there. So when it sits there also, it has a little tug. And then within a month or 2, there is a whole silicone meshwork which forms internally. The body recognizes it as a foreign body, puts that meshwork, the thread dissolves. But then that is what holds your face up for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. Threads has a very good life. And trust me, I've never had a patient I've done threads on who hasn't come back for more threads.
Yeah.
It's something which I think it's the least invasive and the most natural form of invasive therapy that you can do.
One of the last skincare sort of questions I want to ask you is about environmental pollutants. What hack do you have for people who keep getting rashes? Whether it's like detergent, there are so many things, right?
Correct.
That are affecting
yes.
Fragrances.
So see, first of all, nowadays, most of the kids especially are atopic. So parents get scared when you use the word atopy, but I have seen, so the study is 1 in 11, but in my own practice, I've seen 1 in 4 children having atopy. So you see little creases below the eyes, you see their palmar creases getting more defined, the elbows and the neck never look too clean, even though they are scrubbed clean. So the nose is slightly inflamed. So it starts right at that age, the oversensitivity of the skin. When you take some history, you realize one of the parents also has, is prone to eczema or rash. So nowadays that's becoming a lot. Then the construction work is going on everywhere. So there is dust, the AQI is so high. I mean, we're trying to get it down, but it's going to take its own time. So we really need to be sure that, we are taking care of so many factors. We need an air purifier in the house. If there's construction going out, we cannot keep our windows open for too long. We need to change the bed sheets and the pillow covers regularly, because that's which has maximum contact with our skin. And that's where the rash starts happening. If we have a pet, some kids are unfortunately also allergic. Even adults are now getting allergic to pet dander, even if they weren't earlier. Pollen grain is also a lot, and so there's so much. It's basically our immunity which is going down, and the environment which is getting a bit harsher. So it's affecting our lungs. We are having so many cases of asthma now, and they don't even know they have asthma. They're like, I'm feeling a little breathless. Same way, as I said, the skin is a mirror of what's happening inside. So we start seeing urticaria, we start seeing eczema, rash, even in adults. the way it's happening in kids too.
And can you give us one skincare hack that people can do without breaking their bank?
Yeah.
See, because not everybody can afford and do this big treatment. I know that there are other clinics, they are charging a bomb to do some services, which I feel is just unachievable to keep up. And to, they try and sign you up for 5, 10.
Yes, so that is something which I don't like at all, because, it's a human tendency. Once you get the money, you lose the interest.
Yeah.
So basically, we never charge like that. We say you come as many times. The patient shouldn't feel like he's compelled and bound.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't want to do it or doesn't need it to after 3, 4 sittings? Correct. So we always tell you pay per session. We never know. We might want to change your treatment course through the treatment too. And at home also, one thing which I find a bit dicey is that people say, oh, we use everything from our kitchen. I'm not a fan of that, because not everything natural is going to work. Like, they say, oh, it's organic. They're running to it. Weed is organic.
Yeah.
I mean, water is a chemical. So, I mean, just calling all chemicals bad and all things organic good is not something I would go with. You need to see that it's not a harmful chemical. Yeah. And if it is organic, research a little more, like something which is natural, like essential oils. They may not suit everyone. No. There are adults who break out still and they're lathering their skin with oils. I'm not understanding that, like why just because it suited another person. First check your skin type, see, and you're breaking out, you're still using the oil. So you need to, I think, don't need to do much. So I always say that you don't need a 7-step regime. Men have the best skin, our husbands have the best skin. I don't think they're even washing their face properly. Like with what, I don't know what they're using on their faces. So I think, a good diet is essential. Sunscreen is a must. Because otherwise, even if today their skin is good, they're going to suddenly deteriorate and we're going to hopefully look better 10, 15 years down the line.
Everybody will be in your clinic getting cleansed.
So it's very important to do basics, like, hydrate your skin. So just by drinking water, that's not going to happen. Use an aloe vera gel, use a hyaluronic acid. Don't use hot water. Don't use anything harsh. And just whatever you're doing, be consistent. That's the key.
Get ready for the rapid fire. Let's see what magic you can do. What's a skincare trend you secretly think is overrated?
So I'm not a big fan of slugging, because I've seen a lot of patients who have broken out after going all crazy after their Vaseline. So petroleum jelly is great, your product is better, but there's no need to use so much.
Yeah, that is like a nighttime thing. No?
They put lots. Yes.
And what is that slugging? Sorry.
So basically they just keep layering it because they feel like it's going to work really well for the skin, and they leave it on. So it's going to block your pores, and then when you take it out, maybe not instantly, but the next day at least 7 out of 10 are going to break out.
Have you ever had a patient with a bizarre skin condition that stumped you?
Yeah, I think, because so many of them, skin is a very closely related thing to a psychiatric issue. So we always had our psychiatric and skin departments right next to each other. Many things are psychosomatic, imagined by the patient. And so we've had a lot of patients who feel that they have an issue and cannot be found. So it's just in the mind.
And it can be like self-diagnosed or Google.
So it's always self-diagnosed. So we have a board in our clinic outside. Please do not Google anything, because it's like Google has got more specialization than all of us. They trust them more.
Yeah, you might die of a spelling mistake.
Yeah, they trust the bloggers more than us who've never, been into a clinic.
What's the funniest misconception a patient has had about their skin?
So we have patients who come in and say, I look so young. I don't have a single wrinkle or line, and then we do the skin analysis and it comes 10 years older than the age, and then they get really upset, which is, we feel bad at that point. But sometimes, we do have, in fact, I don't mind it because I prefer an overconfident person than an underconfident one. So I'm all like, yes, go for it.
Yeah, if they're happy with their skin, why not?
Absolutely. And they're good patients because we have to do very little to make them feel even better.
Have you been starstruck by any patient? You've had any like film stars and stuff coming to your clinic?
No, so I'm not too much of a person who would be starstruck. I'm more into myself.
But who's like your favorite celebrity you would?
So I used to really like John Abraham a lot.
Yeah.
I like him still. And in the girls, I like Deepika. But not so much, not like John.
Not like John. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower to help you with your job, what would it be?
I would like to read their mind, because sometimes, even after half an hour, you look at them looking at you like this and you're wondering what exactly are they thinking? Are they going to use the creams? They come back, after a month and say, doctor, I don't know if it helped. I'm like, did you put the cream? They're like, no, everything else I did except use the treatment. So I would love to read their mind so that I know that, what to expect.
Or have the superpower of telling
going
them,
there and
using
the I think I'm a bit overworked for that. They need to do it themselves.
Okay, what's one guilty pleasure that you indulge in when you want to take a break from work?
So as of now, I think Instagram is just we tell our children, I don't give my children I've got 3 kids, as you know, so I don't give them phone, iPad, anything. But recently I've been noticing my husband and me are getting more and more addicted to it. Yeah. So even when two of us are sitting or visiting with the kids, we just want to scroll through all the reels. I think that is a guilty pleasure. My screen time has gone on doubling in the recent times.
It's okay. I think we're married for many, many years.
Yeah.
It's fine to scroll next to each other.
But not with the kids. Yeah.
You said everything we wanted to say. If you were stranded on an island and you could take 3 skincare products with you, what will they be?
So as it is, I don't use too much of product. So I have my own skincare line, Shy Beauty, as you know. So the Be My Shade sunscreen, it's so light and 50 SPF, I would take that, Be My Shade. After that, I would take Refraction Savior Salve, because that would work for cuts and bruises and my flyaways, which I would have many on the island. And the third thing is again from my company, the Pearl Finish. It's a hydrating and brightening cream. So as you know, it works beautifully. It will just not allow pigmentation, fine lines, wrinkles. So when I do come back from the island, my body, face, hair, everything will be good.
Have you ever had to deal with a skincare emergency? Like for one of your patients or something has gone on and you'd had to...
Yeah, so a lot of times, because in residency also, I worked at DY, I worked at Rajawadi that's a proper government hospital. Yeah. So we have like Steven Johnson's, we have burn cases, we have a lot of patients. So even in the middle of the night, we'd be running to help them. So Dermat is our first love. We've done pure dermatology for a long time. Yeah. Now, of course, it's become decorated with other things.
Aesthetic. Yeah, see, I've never thought about burn victims.
Yeah, absolutely.
To have a dermatologist, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of patients who are patients for other things, and then accidentally their child gets burnt or they get burnt. Yeah. So they just call us and we help them out instantly, because there are a lot of misconceptions on how to deal with that too.
If you could give your younger self an advice about skincare, what would you give?
So I think I would start using a sunscreen a little earlier, because though we knew it, we were not, even in college and in Dermat also, all of us would tell the patient, but it took us our own sweet time to realize that how essential it is for us to use it. And maybe I would go a little easy on the hair treatments that I did in those years. I did a lot when I didn't need it. I had lovely hair and no need at all.
Oh, you mean like coloring and
straightening and coloring and straightening back to back when there wasn't any need. Now we didn't need it then.
Right.
So I would have gone easier on the straightening at that time, and I would have started a sunscreen a little earlier. Yeah. I would recommend that to everybody listening to. Start your sunscreen in school if you can, and start your retinol by 25 or before 30.
Anyway, you have to tell the moms that. For school-going kids, moms have to do it. If you could swap your life with somebody for one day, who would you like to swap it with?
Maybe one of my kids. Yeah, I would like to know how they feel for me.
Yeah, because you're a very good mama and you're very
handsome. I hope so. I hope they think so. I would like to know that from their point of view.
They are not embarrassed of you. Let me tell you.
I love them. They are my whole world. Yeah. So I think I would like to be one of them.
And receive your love.
Yeah.
Very selfish. Have you ever had any beauty treatment that went hilariously wrong?
On myself?
Yeah. Or anyone else? I mean, it won't be hilarious if it was a patient.
Yeah, so I think in Thailand once I'd straightened my hair and I missed the whole day of shopping and going out, and at the end of the day my hair was the same, like it didn't catch at all. So I came back with my lion's mane intact, no straightening. So I think that was something which went, luckily it didn't do any damage, but it was a whole day in Bangkok wasted, which is not fun.
You wanted to straighten
Yeah,
your
yeah, I
hair.
went.
You did the whole treatment.
I did the treatment. I sat for 6 hours because I had longer hair too, and they don't even speak much English. So I was just getting bored and waiting, and then after the wash, it was all gone. It was back to my big hair.
Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, my mom likes it. She says it looks like Shehnaz Hussain.
Shaista, thanks for coming on Refractions Pod.
The pleasure is mine.
I'll see you at school.
See you soon.